Hello and welcome back to Stop That Clock. We're here on episode 6 and also the season finale, not of this, but like season finale of the NFL season. We are headed into our first ever week 18. Obviously, we have 2 games this today and then, the rest of the slate. And I'm joined by my co-host, Sam Furmaniak at ThatFootballTopic. And, today's going to be a fun one. I think we're going to dive into some picks, obviously some playoff scenarios, and then, chop it up with some would you rather play out player comparisons? So
love it.
Let's just get right into the picks because I feel like there's a lot of great games and then there's also a lot of meaningless games. So why don't you kick us off, Sam?
Yeah, as per tradition, the last week of the season, it's all divisional matchups, which I love. I think that's fun. Could leave for some boring matchups, but let's start off with our primetime ESPN doubleheader today. We got the Chiefs, who are looking to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. They'll need a little help from the Texans, which they play the Broncos. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one. However, Drew Lock has not been the problem for the Broncos these last few weeks. I watched both games, obviously. I was at the Chargers game. It's not been him. It's just been awful play calling. They haven't run the ball well. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. They'll make it 13 straight against the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs too. There's a lot on the line for the Chiefs, and especially like you said, they could clinch, number 1 seed with a win, and then obviously a Tennessee loss. So I really like the odds for the Chiefs.
All right. So, by the way, before we get further, last week I got 16 points. I think Jude beat me because he picked the Steelers on Monday Night Football, so he got me in points there. Going into our last week of the season, granted, we'll still do picks for the playoff games, of course. But right now it's 52-58, I think.
Yeah.
Jude has the lead, so I need a big week. Right now. Okay, so now we got the other Monday or Saturday game. That's your boys are heading to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Both of y'all have clinched a playoff spot at this point, so there's obviously still seeding to be played for, and it's a divisional game.
More for the Cowboys on the Cowboys side. The Eagles can't really move a lot,
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they can go between 6 and 7. It depends. Yeah, it depends on the Saints and the 49ers. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. And I think, Sam, if you want to be the smart pick, you should go with the Eagles because you need to make up some ground.
Get some 5 points.
And I personally think, I'm a big Cowboys supporter. I think the Eagles might beat us. I think the Eagles might beat us. Obviously, we're missing, a huge part in our secondary. Javon Diggs is out. Anthony Brown's out. Jaron Kearse is out. We're missing a lot of key pieces on defense. I just want to see a great offensive performance with the Cowboys to feel somewhat confident heading into the playoffs after a not so great offensive performance last week against the Cardinals. But I'm still going to stick with my boys, and I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Yeah, you gave me all the points to take the Eagles. But, I mean, the key injuries are there. Screw it. I will go with – no, I'm not. I'll get my points in other places. I'm gonna take the Cowboys in this one. Actually, I lied. I'm going to take the Eagles. I actually do need the points.
Need the points.
We picked pretty similar, so I'm gonna take the Eagles in this one.
And you don't have anything to lose. I mean,
at this point, and I think they can they'll be able to run the ball pretty well. Dallas has kind of been.
And Michael Parsons is out.
That is the biggest injury.
He's also out too. So.
Yeah. So I'll take the Eagles in this one. They're at home. Okay. Now I almost had another divisional matchup, but they're literally all divisional matchups. We have the Steelers and the Ravens in this one. I would have gone with the Ravens. I actually do really like Tyler Huntley, but of course he's not Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's not going to be playing. The Steelers got really lucky and they get Deontay Johnson back, so I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this one.
I want to go with the Steelers because it's like Big Ben's last game and, potentially last game. But I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens want to play spoiler. Obviously, the Ravens need a lot to go right
they
for
both
them to make the playoffs. Both need sort of a lot to go right. But I like the Ravens. They're at home. It's been a sloppy season. I feel like they want to end on a win. And so I think the Ravens beat them.
Brutalized by injuries this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awful.
It's been bad since J.K. Dobbins. Oh, wait, so you took
I took the Ravens, yeah.
The Ravens. Okay. No differentiating. All right, now we got the Bengals and the Browns. Joe Burrow will not be traveling to Cincinnati, so it will be Brandon Allen. I mean, granted, you still have to deal with Baker for the Browns, but I'm actually going to take the Browns in this one despite how awful the Browns have been. Actually, it was kind of funny when watching the end of that Steelers-Browns game on Monday Night Football, of course, Najee Harris got the touchdown at the end there to seal it pretty much. And I was like, oh, wow, look, Cleveland's going to get the ball again. As soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, wow, just enough time for Baker to throw another interception.
Another pick.
And he literally just did that.
Yeah.
So this could be Baker's last game in a Browns uniform, potentially, or at least without competition.
Without competition. So, wow, we're already going separate ways. I like the Bengals. Now, I like the Bengals in certain circumstances. I think the big one is what happens against the Broncos. If the Broncos go and beat the Chiefs, that could change up the table, because if the Bengals see that the Chiefs have already won, they're not really playing for anything. But if the Chiefs lose, there's a potential they could get the first seed. Now, they would also need Tennessee to lose, but there is potential they get the first seed. So I'm going to go with the Bengals because I think they're going to try to win out. I think they're going to try to beat the Browns. But I think there's big playoff implications, especially in this game. We'll talk about it in a sec after we're done with our picks, where the Bengals potentially get the first round bye.
I just think the end of the line, Joe Burrow's not traveling to Cleveland, so it's going to be Brandon Allen no matter what happens in the Chiefs.
No, exactly.
Game.
No,
so I'm still going to take the Browns. Washington football team, which is getting a new name soon and a new rebrand, will play the Giants. I'm definitely taking Washington here.
Definitely taking Washington. We can move past that one.
Yep. Okay, now we got Titans, Texans. It's a shame because we're not going to get the inaugural Derrick Henry 200-yard closing game of the year against the Texans. However, the return of the king is with a win they'll lock up the number one seed. I think they get it, but
I think they get it.
The playoff matchup that they get, it's going to be return of the king. King Henry will be back for the playoffs. Getting that first round bye will be huge because it just gives him just another week to get healthy. So I'm going to take the Titans in this one.
Yeah, I like the Titans to lock it up. I mean, I just like the Titans to lock it up.
Now the game here that has, I think, in my opinion, is the most interesting one, despite a lot of these games being interesting. The Colts and the Jaguars. There you go, Duval. Because if the Jaguars win, that opens up the AFC wide open.
I'm telling you, it's like Spider-Man in the multiverse. If the Jaguars win, it opens up infinite possibilities to happen. I mean, it is this should have been.
We'll get into it. But
honestly, I'm just going to be honest. This should have been the Sunday night game.
I disagree just because I think the Raiders Chargers.
Right, because then you got to see that. Yeah. But anyway, besides the point. Yes.
I'm going to still take the Colts. I still think they're the better team. However, Jacksonville hasn't lost at home to the Colts since 2014, which is a long time. I'm rooting for Jaguars. Not that I want to see the Colts lose, and I actually do really like the Colts. I think they could go pretty far in the playoffs. But God, it would be so much fun if the Jaguars won.
Yeah, I got to take the Colts. I mean, that's the smart pick, but man, I'm going to be rooting for them Jaguars. So.
Yes, sir. All right, now
we got. What? Actually, I'm going to take the Jaguars because you know what? I don't have anything to lose. Why not? I'm going to take the Jaguars. I'm going to ride high with my Jaguars.
There you go. All right, I really need the Eagles now. Okay, now we got the Packers and the Lions. Interesting reports coming out of this game because despite the Packers having the number one seed locked up, Aaron Rodgers still might be playing, which I don't know if I understand that fully, but even if he doesn't and it's Jordan Love, I'm still going to take the Packers, but I just thought that was a weird decision.
Yeah, I like the Packers. I mean, the Lions, they've had their fair share of, success this season, if you want to call it that. But I like
that Vikings
Packers.
Win was still so hype. We got the Jets and the Bills. The Bills technically haven't locked up the AFC East. If they lose and the Patriots win, they will not be AFC East champions, but they're playing the Jets, so they're going to get the win. However, the Jets have been playing good football as of late. They almost beat the Bucs.
The Bills, though. I like the Bills.
I do too. Now we got Saints, Falcons, some playoff implications here, big ones for the Saints. They go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, play the Falcons. I'm going to take the Saints. I think Sean Payton will have these guys ready for a playoff game. Yeah, that's my pick.
I like the Falcons to play spoiler.
There you go. I like that. I went back and forth on this one. It was.
I like the Falcons to play spoiler. I think the Saints. I don't know. The Falcons are a good football team. I know they're 7-9, but they still have. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a day. He can obviously break the rookie record for receiving yards by tight end. So there's a lot on this line just besides playoff stuff. So I like the Falcons. I think Cordell will have a fantastic week.
All right, now we got the Panthers and the Bucks. Give me the Bucks. Don't really need to think about that one.
It hurts me, but yeah, give me Give me the Bucks.
Yeah. Okay, Patriots, Dolphins. We'll talk about their scenarios with the East. I kind of already mentioned it, but I'm going to have the Patriots winning this one as Dolphins came out flat in a must-win game last week.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen, especially when they hadn't played any competition in their, 7-game win streak. So I'm going to take the Patriots too. This is also, I mean, this would be obviously they would know the result of the other game, so they'd basically be potentially playing for the, actually no, they wouldn't, but they'd be potentially playing for the number 1 spot in the.
Yeah, it's weird. Despite Buffalo having the division lead, the Patriots still have a chance to take number 1. We'll get into that. Now we have another very interesting one. It's the Niners and the Rams, and the Rams just need a win and they'll get the NFC West. However, the Niners have not lost to the Rams in like 3 years. They beat them earlier this year. It's looking like it's going to be Trey Lance still, but I'm actually going to take the Niners here to play spoiler. They just need a win and they're in, so give me the Niners.
Give me the Niners. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to run the ball a lot tomorrow, whether it be with Lance's legs, whether it be with Elijah Mitchell, whether it be with Deebo Samuel. They're going to run the ball. And
I like it.
That's how they're going to win.
We both got this upset. I like it.
Yeah.
Now we have the Seahawks and the Cardinals, the other West matchup. I'm going to take the Cardinals.
I'm going to take the Cardinals as well.
Yeah, they got a big win last week.
And now, obviously game of the week. Without a doubt, game of the week.
Easily.
Now,
it was a choice for Sunday night.
It was funny because we were talking about this, and I think this is a good segue.
Yeah, we'll get right into the
playoff scenarios. So we were talking about this. So obviously, we all know the whole thing. If my Jacksonville Jaguars, if they pull off the upset, which they will beat the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
That is a confident beat the Colts. If they beat the Colts, this game could end in a tie, right? And both teams can make the playoffs. Both teams.
They literally don't even have to play. Like they don't
even have to play.
Kneel the ball. Okay. I was doing a little research on this because it's actually kind of crazy. So just for the AFC wild card with the Colts, you just win or a tie and you're in. Like literally, it's simple. Just beat the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars. That's all you need. Or you can get in with the Chargers lost, a Pittsburgh lost, and New England lost. The Chargers, again, it's winning you're in. Same with the Raiders, winning you're in. However, if they tie with there's
other ways for the Raiders to win, but
actually the Raiders it's interesting because they can lose and
they
still
could lose in. And
if Indianapolis still
loses
and then
the Steelers lose.
The Steelers lose. That's what it is. Okay, but this is what Brandon Staley had to say on the possibility if Jacksonville wins and they're going to that. He didn't rule it out. He didn't say, no, we're just going to play the football game. He said, we're just going to have to wait and see on that. I don't know if I can speak in absolutes. I think that we'll just have to wait and see if that situation expresses itself, and then we'll be forced to make a decision. And that's certainly going to be a big one.
They're not going to do that. We talked about this before the podcast. We've been talking about it for the past week. I honestly think it would be like disrespectful to do that. Like say the Jaguars win and they realize they both have to tie. But you have to realize they are both division rivals. Why would they want the other person in the playoffs?
Okay, but they're not that's not how they're thinking though. When you look at like we are the Los Angeles Chargers. They're our division rivals. I don't give a damn what the Raiders do. If I'm in the playoffs, I believe in my team and my ability to go beat whoever we play. Mm-hmm. Yes, that could be said in this game too. I believe we can go and beat the Raiders. Why would you risk it though? Especially for both teams. Go out there and win the game. Like, what? However, what could be very interesting too is if going into this one, there's a situation where the Raiders could have already clinched at this point.
No, that's true.
As you said, if Jacksonville wins – Jacksonville wins, and then the Ravens win beating Pittsburgh. The Raiders are already in at this point, so obviously they're just going to play. So the Chargers could still actually get in, and the Raiders without them having to tie, but it would require a Pittsburgh loss.
Yeah.
And then for the AFC North, just to go with that, the Steelers can win if, again, Jacksonville wins, and either the LA and Vegas team ends in a loss for one team. If they do the tie thing, then the Steelers will get shafted out of the playoffs, and you won't hear the end of that from their fans. So they're definitely hoping this situation doesn't play out. However, they still need the Jacksonville loss to get in.
Yeah,
but they just have to. I don't know. It's a whole thing. Because
I think I don't think I've seen a playoffs in a while where a game could where it depends on a tie. Like
it would break
a
the
game
NFL.
ending on a tie or not ending on a tie could change
We just
someone's
need
playoff chances.
Trevor Lawrence to put all of our hopes and dreams on his shoulders. Because if you think about it from the Steelers' perspective, it's kind of like I don't see how they can get in. Because look, let's just say they win,
I don't think they could.
and then Indianapolis loses. The Raiders are not going to be automatically in because Pittsburgh won.
Yeah.
The only way for Raiders to clinch is for Pittsburgh to lose. If Pittsburgh loses, they're out already.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, the tie is the only way for both of those teams to get in. So Pittsburgh's kind of shafted either way. And then the Ravens can still technically get in with a win, a Jacksonville win, and then the Chargers lose and Miami loses or ties.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the large scheme of things, looking at the AFC personally, I don't think a lot's going to change. I think at the end, I think the Chargers beat the Raiders. So I think that's for certain. As confident as I am in the Jaguars, as confident as I am in the Jaguars, the Colts realize what's on the line, and they realize, hey, we lose, we're not going to be in the playoffs. So they're going to go out there and win. Obviously, I'm praying on the Jags win, but the point is, I don't think in the AFC a lot's going to change. I think you could potentially see seeding where it's like, obviously like we talked about earlier with the Bengals still have a chance to get the number 1 seed, right? Now they need a little bit to go right, but there's still that chance. And then for the Titans, which is incredible without having Derrick Henry for basically the whole season, they could lock up the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I like that. Let's segue over to the number 1 seed in the AFC. Right, it's the Titans. You win and you're in for the number 1 seed. The Chiefs, they're playing in an hour. They want to get that win, but also they need help with the Tennessee loss or tie. And then the Bengals, as you said, they need a lot. And the Patriots are actually still in it. They would need a win, a Buffalo loss or tie, a Kansas City loss or a Tennessee loss. So
lot needs to go.
A lot is riding on the AFC South at this point for all this seeding. But if anything can be taken away from this wild card picture, it's go Jaguars.
Go Jaguars. And flipping to the NFC, because I think the NFC is a little less complicated in the sense that there's a lot more moving parts. Obviously, I think you have your top 4 seeds in the Packers, the Rams, the Buccaneers, Cowboys pretty much solidified. Obviously, we both had the 49ers winning, which could massively change up things for the NFC West.
The Rams,
But the big thing is, you have the Saints. I got the Falcons winning, but that 6, 7, 8 spot is going to be very interesting, especially heading into that 1 o'clock and even 10 o'clock and 1:25 window for us between those teams, because there is change between the 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, I mean the 6th and 7th are locked down in terms of like there's only one open spot right now, and it's either going to go to the Niners or the Saints. The Niners just have to win or tie, and they're in. Or even if they lose, if New Orleans loses, they're also in. And then, of course, New Orleans just needs the Rams to pull through, and they need to win themselves. So it's easy. Like, it can happen for either team. I've said this pretty much since like the postseason. Like, it's pretty much all year. The AFC playoff picture, there's a lot more playoff contenders. It's a lot tighter. Like, you had even teams that got eliminated the last few weeks that were still in it all the way to the end. It's a lot tighter. However, in the NFC, it wasn't as tight, but it was tighter at the top. Like, I feel like there's a lot more Super Bowl contenders in the NFC at this point. You got the Packers, Rams, maybe the Cardinals, the Cowboys. Like, you got a lot of teams, and the Bucs, of course. Whereas in the AFC, it's really unclear, and it's a lot closer. So it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
It is going to be very fun to watch, and it all starts with the Jacksonville Jaguars once again on the AFC side.
All right, let's get into some would you rathers. Just kind of players would you rather start your franchise with, or just have these players on your team. And I think the biggest one in the NFL that's talked about all the time, and this is the first one that we thought of when we thought about this topic. And these guys are going to be compared pretty much for the rest of their careers. It's Joe Burrow of the Bengals and Justin Herbert of the Chargers. I'll let you start off with this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's obviously come up a lot more because of Joe Burrow's play and how amazing he's been in
coming off an ACL injury too.
Coming off, I mean, not even just an ACL injury. It was like basically his whole knee was almost, decapitated, which is crazy. I think this one's interesting. Obviously, if you look at the stats, they have very similar stats this season, right? Joe Burrow's done for 4,600 11 yards. Herbert has thrown for 4,631 yards. They both have 35, 34 touchdowns. They both have 14 interceptions. They both throw for basically 289 per game. Completion percentage a little better for Burrow. I think both quarterbacks have tangibles that each don't have. I think with Burrow on his side is his leadership. I think that's something that we saw coming out of LSU. And he's a fantastic player, but I think what he has over Herbert is that leadership. And you can tell through maybe, I mean, I'm not watching every press conference with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but you can just tell when they play the game, they love Joe Burrow. Not that they don't love Justin Herbert when they play, but there's just a sense of camaraderie when they play with him. And I think that's something you can't teach in quarterbacks, right? You can't teach a leadership, an aspect in somebody. That has to grow inside of you. And I think that's what Joe Burrow has over Herbert. Now with Herbert, and I'll let you get into Burrow before I maybe get into Herbert and all my thoughts on
Herbert. To put it simply, Joe Burrow is what the Browns thought Baker Mayfield was going to be. He's got this swagger about him. The guys gravitate around him. He was able to come over this injury, number 1 overall pick, and playing fantastic. And I'll also segue into Justin Herbert a little bit, let you talk about that. But when I look at both of them, I think Joe Burrow's just got it, like that it factor. Like, I think Justin Herbert, measurables-wise, I think he's better. He's a bigger dude. He's got a better, frame. He's faster. He has a much bigger arm. I think he's a little more athletic. But in terms of the clutch factor, I'm going to put the team on my back, or I'm going to carry these dudes here. I think Joe Burrow's got it a little more than Justin Herbert. That's where I elevate him in that sense. But, oh, my God, it's so close because these are 2 generational talents right here.
Yeah, I like Herbert in this comparison. I just think, I just, boasted about, how great Joe Burrow is and how great of a leader is. But then there's the quarterback. And I think Justin Herbert meets every aspect that you want in a franchise guy. I think he's the perfect height. I never got this whole idea that, he was too big for the league. I thought that was a bunch of BS when he was coming out of Oregon and heading into the draft. It's incredible how well this dude just throws the ball with so little effort. I mean, he can just launch the ball crazy distances on target. That's the other thing. There's some quarterbacks who can just heave the ball, right? And you're just like, okay, I mean, you have a great arm, but there's no accuracy. He can throw a ball 70 yards with perfect accuracy. And that's another thing you can't really teach. And I think Herbert has – and then you have to kind of look at what's around him.
I was about to bring that up, actually, because I think that's what makes this argument so unique and special is that in terms of just the receivers, maybe Justin Herbert has a slightly better offensive line. It's pretty even because the Bengals and the Chargers are the 2 only teams with 2 1,000-yard receivers. They both have outstanding receiving cores, of course. Herbert with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams leading that. And then, of course, you got the Bengals, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, of course, Tyler Boyd as well. So both of these teams their quarterbacks have weapons to work with. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow, actually, because I like that it factor. I like that confidence that he has, that leadership ability. I think that's one of the most important qualities for a quarterback. Sure, maybe the measurables are a little more in favor of Justin Herbert, but I think down the line, I think Joe Burrow, in terms of his legacy, is going to be more successful because he has that clutch factor, because he has that it factor. Let's also remember, not to be a little biased here, but who's Justin Herbert playing for? The Chargers. They're going to find ways to do stuff and mess it up.
I don't think you can always put that on.
No, of course not.
I mean, that's definitely more of a team trait. And that's why I didn't want to bring up their wins, because I feel like wins are not really a quarterback stat to be, because look, Joe Burrow's 12-13 as a starter. Justin Herbert's 15-16. There's not a lot of difference. And I don't think that team wins correlate to a quarterback.
However, and yes, I agree. This could, but look at how much they elevated. The Chargers, we knew what they were going to be going into this season. They were going to be a good young team with a chance to compete for the division and definitely a wild card spot. The Bengals were picking number 1 overall 2 years ago. And then they were picking in the top 5 this year. And then Joe Burrow comes back, takes the league by storm, and elevates his team to win one of the most competitive divisions in football. Last year it was the Steelers, and then this year we were debating whether it was going to be Baltimore or Cleveland. The Bengals were not even in the mix, and now they've won the AFC North, potentially with a chance to get number 1 seed. So yeah. I'm going to take Joe Burrow.
I think it's a debate either way. I mean, you can't really go wrong.
You could go, yeah. This is not going to get resolved, is what we're saying. All right, now let's go to not necessarily a person. I guess we'll still stick with the Bengals a little bit. Let's talk about some receiving corps, some of the best in the NFL. Now, this is a little interesting now because of the Antonio Brown thing. It kind of takes away from this, but I'll still throw the Bucs in there for their receiving corps when fully healthy, of course.
And fully healthy, yeah.
And that's with all these teams, obviously. Then we got the Bengals. So the Bucs, it was with AB, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. Obviously AB's out now, and it's either Scotty Miller or Tyler Johnson, whatever. I kind of think that takes them out of this debate, personally, even though with Antonio Brown, I think they were the best, but without them, that's more a duo than a trio. So now we got the Bengals. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase versus the Cowboys, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup.
Well, Michael Gallup's – we're saying fully healthy, right?
Yeah, fully healthy. Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Here's the thing about the Cowboys receiving corps, because Amari Cooper, without a doubt, is a top 10 receiver. And I could argue anybody about it. I just think in recent weeks, he just hasn't got targets. They haven't been throwing him the ball. The last 100-yard game he had with Dak Prescott was week 1 against the Buccaneers. That's the last 100-yard game he had with Dak. Obviously, he had the 100-yard game on Sunday night with Cooper Rush. But as a number 1 receiver, you should at least be having – if we're already this way to the season, I mean, at least 10 100-yard games, maybe 9. If you're really a guy like that, without a doubt, and I'm not blaming Amari Cooper for his lack of production, because obviously that falls on Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott. I'm going to take the Cowboys receiving corps just because we've seen sort of a string of what they've done, right? The Bengals, without a doubt, they're right there too. I really love Jamar Chase. I love T. Higgins a lot. I love Tyler Boyd. But I'm just going to take the Cowboys right now because, to me, I just think they have a stronger number 1, which puts them on top for a trio.
Okay, that's fair enough. And look, there's things that I love about both. It's weird. I'm like, they're both versatile in different ways, if you catch my meaning. I think you got your sort of like go up and get him guy with Michael Gallup. You have your slot expert and master with CeeDee Lamb, and then you got your all-around route runner with Amari Cooper. Whereas with the Bengals, I think it's a little more versatile that I think all of them can kind of do that, with maybe the exception of Tyler Boyd not being a go up and get him guy. So
you don't think CeeDee can go up and get it?
No, I said he could. Oh no. So okay. I'm saying yes, he can go up and get it, but I think he's more that crafty run after the catch kind of guy.
Well, he's a lot of yards after the catch.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, clear.
So I think based like just this season, I think the Bengals receiving corps has had a better season.
Oh, well, yeah.
God, it's tough.
I mean, you got to think about like who you taking, not just from this season. I mean, you obviously the Bengals have had a better season, but you're thinking long term. You're thinking long term with these guys.
Yeah, I think you can debate Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper all day. You can debate that.
Yeah.
I would take Michael Gallup, though, over Tyler Boyd, and I think that's where the divide is, and so that's why I'm going to take the Cowboys in this matchup, just because I think Michael Gallup just gives you a little more versatility down the field and also being able to go and get those jump balls.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's much. I mean, best trio in the league.
All right, now let's get to, I guess, the other side of the ball for the Cowboys. We have the league leader in interceptions with 11 going up against another second-year guy in A.J. Terrell. So I think this is it's like the two opposite ends of the spectrum right now. You have a guy in Trayvon Diggs who, as I just mentioned, leading the league in interceptions, has been a ball hawk, very good for the Cowboys getting turnovers, but has also been very volatile. He's allowed a lot of yards. Then you got a guy in A.J. Terrell. I think he only has 2 or 3 interceptions this year, which is still good for a corner. But he doesn't get all the takeaways, but he's allowing a lot less yards. And in my opinion, is showing out as a truer shutdown corner.
Yeah. So when Trayvon Diggs came in the league, I don't think he was ever listed as, that lockdown corner. So I'm going to tell you why I would trade Trayvon Diggs. And for one simple reason. Because you can't teach those ball skills he has. Okay, I think, and I'm not taking away from A.J. Terrell. I think he's a fantastic corner, and obviously he's a lot better of a lockdown corner than Diggs is right now. But you got to think, Diggs is in his second year right now, and I know Terrell's in his second year. but you can't teach the ball skills that Diggs has. You can't teach amazing lockdown. You can't teach all the great technique to a corner to be, extremely locked down, but you can teach that. Ball skills come, I would say, almost naturally. And you got to think about Trevon Diggs played receiver when he was at Alabama coming in. So that's where the ball skills are coming from. So to me, I feel like I would take Diggs in the long run just because he already has the ball skills. So with his ball skills, and keep saying ball skills, with his ball skills, and then handling. you can teach the proper technique. And yes, I get it. He's given up a lot of yards, but there hasn't. And I'm honestly trying to register every game. There hasn't been a game where he's given up a huge play that has altered the game, except for the Patriots game. Yes, the Kendrick Bourne was a big altering play, but all honesty, yes, he gives up kind of these chunk yards, but there hasn't been truly a play I could definitely look at and say, wow, that really altered the game, right? The types of plays he's giving up has really altered the game. When it's mattered the most, Trevon Diggs, for the most part, has been locked down, quote unquote. I don't want to say fully locked down, but if you catch my drift, right? There hasn't been game-altering plays that he's let up.
I mean, I think there's a few.
All right, then let's hear them.
Okay, we got last week, AJ Green, double move.
I don't think that was game-altering.
Position.
I don't
we got
think that
versus
was
the Broncos, another double move. Tim Patrick, they go up 12-0. That takes momentum. Yes, they won this game, but versus the Patriots, the mix-up in the secondary, Kendrick Bourne takes it. I'm not trying to get too nitty-gritty because I think Trevon Diggs is an excellent corner, and as I 100% agree with you. I think you can teach that. I think as he goes throughout his career, he will get better and allow less yards. Obviously, having a historic season right now, but I think it's just what are you looking for in a guy? I think, do you want a guy who will be a little volatile and get all these takeaways, which have been great? I think the Cowboys, they lead the league in turnovers as a defense, or do you want a guy who can be truly shut down and take a receiver off the field, blanket aside? I think personally, it comes down to what you have around you in that team. Let's look at Marcus Peters, for example, because that's the guy who I think you see a lot of comparisons coming from Trevon Diggs. Very volatile guy. He'll jump stuff. He'll get a lot of picks, but also might get burned a few times. When you look at it, it works for him because when Marcus Peters played for the Rams, he had Aaron Donald rushing the passer, and he also had a really good corner on the other side with Aqib Talib. When he's with the Ravens, you got another good corner with Marlon Humphrey, and their great pass rush, Calais Campbell, Matt Judon was there, all those guys. So it allows you to be that aggressive. Of course, with the Cowboys, you have that great trio with Micah Parsons, Randy Gregory, and DeMarcus Lawrence that can rush the passer. Whereas with A.J. Terrell, you don't necessarily have that. So I think A.J. Terrell works better for them because he can be that blanket. He can be that guy, okay, we don't have to worry about him. We don't necessarily have to put safety help over them. So I'm not gonna pick a side because I think it truly comes down to what you need and what fits your team better. I think if you want that guy who can eliminate a side of the field or a receiver, I'll take A.J. Terrell. If you want a guy that you can fit, that can be that big play guy that can get you the picks, I'll take Trevon Diggs.
Agreed, but I'm still taking Diggs.
You're still taking Diggs. Okay. All right. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up. I like that we were able to put some Would You Rathers. We might maybe sprinkle some in there later on podcasts. Coming up, we have the first of the doubleheaders, which is Broncos Chiefs. I'm definitely going to be watching my boys right out for the last time. Drew Lock. Oh my goodness. Hopefully this could be a great day because they could fire Pat Shurmur and Tom McMahon, which would be outstanding. But definitely tune into those. And then later on, we have the Cowboys and the Eagles, and then a great day of football tomorrow. So go Jaguars.
Go Jaguars.